Hello, again. A fellow named Broder walks into a bar with a dog on a leash. Bartender, he says, I'll have a scotch on the rocks and a whiskey sour for my dog. I'm sorry, sir, but we don't allow dogs in here. Just a minute, the dog says. I'm not used to being treated this way. Maybe you've never seen a talking dog. Don't give me no talking dog, mister, the bartender tells Broder. You're not the first ventriloquist we've had in here. Wait, you've got it all wrong, says Broder. I'll go across the street to get a newspaper and I'll leave the dog here. Then you'll see. When Broder is gone, the dog says, Hey, pal, what happened to my whiskey sour? The bartender is astonished. Sure, right away. It's on the house. I can't believe this. Say, would you do me a favor? Here's $10. My wife works in the restaurant next door. Would you mind going in and ordering a coffee? This will make her day, and you can keep the change. Fine, says the dog, who takes the money and leaves. A moment later, Broder returns to the bar. Hey, where's Oliver? He can talk, says the bartender. I gave him $10 to surprise my wife. Here, I'll go with you. As they leave the bar, they see Oliver in the alley, having his way with an attractive French poodle. Oliver, I don't believe it, says Broder. You've never done this before. Hey, says the dog, I've never had money before. The teacher asked her new first graders to share what they'd done during the summer. She reminded them they were no longer in kindergarten, so she wanted them to use grown-up words instead of baby words. The first little one said, I went to see my Nana. The teacher said, No, no, you went to see your grandmother. Use the grown-up word. The next little one said, I went for a trip on a choo-choo. The teacher told her, No, no, you went on a train. That's the grown-up word. Then the teacher asked the third little one what he did during the summer. He proudly stated that he'd read a book. What book did you read? The teacher asked. And in a very adult way, he replied, Winnie the Shit. Quasimodo advertises for a man to ring the bells. The next morning a fellow comes in with no arms. Are you kidding? Says Quasimodo. I'm serious, the man says. Please just give me a chance. Fine, says Quasimodo. Ring the bells. After all, who is Quasimodo to discriminate against the handicapped? The man runs up the stairs, takes a flying leap, rings one of the bells with his head, boing, and collapses in a heap. Then he picks himself up, runs up the stairs again, and rings a different bell, boing. On the third try, however, he misses the bell completely, flies out the window, and falls on the ground, dead. Immediately, a crowd gathers around the body. When Quasimodo comes out, they say to him, Who was this man? Quasimodo replies, I never knew his name, but his face rang a bell. The following day, another man applies for the job, and he too has no arms. I had a guy come in yesterday, looked just like you, says Quasimodo. I know, he was my brother. Listen, this is a very dangerous job for a man with no arms. After what happened yesterday, I think you should go home. But the man refuses to leave, and eventually Quasimodo gives in and allows him to ring the bells. But exactly the same thing happens. The first two attempts are fine, but on the third try, he too goes flying out the window and falls dead on the ground. When Quasimodo comes out, they say, "Who was this man?" And he replies, "I never knew his name, but he's a dead ringer for his brother." On a transatlantic flight, a plane passes through a severe storm. The turbulence is awful, and things go from bad to worse when one wing is struck by lightning. One woman in particular loses it. She stands up in the front of the plane screaming, "I'm too young to die." Then she says, "Well, if I'm going to die, I want my last minutes on earth to be memorable. No one has ever made me really feel like a woman. Well, I've had it. Is there anyone on this plane who could make me feel like a woman?" For a moment there is silence. Everyone has forgotten his own peril, and they all stare, riveted, at the desperate woman in the front of the plane. Then a man stands up in the rear. He's a tall, tanned hulk with jet black hair, and he starts to walk slowly up the aisle, unbuttoning his shirt. "I can make you feel like a woman." No one moves. As the man approaches, the woman begins to get excited. He removes his shirt. Muscles ripple across his chest. When he reaches her, he extends the arm holding his shirt and says, "Iron this." And until next time, if I can get the little button, toodaloo.